What if I told you that a small group of families, stretching back hundreds of years, have been secretly controlling the world? What if I told you that these families are the hidden rulers behind the curtain of global politics, economics, and society? Today, we're going to expose the truth behind one of the most intriguing and mysterious conspiracy theories, the 13 bloodlines that are believed to control society. At the heart of this theory is the claim that 13 bloodlines, stemming from ancient aristocratic families, hold an enormous amount of power in the modern world. These families are said to control governments, corporations, and even the media. But who are these families, and where did their power come from? Let's break it down. To understand these bloodlines, we have to start with their historical roots. These families claim to trace their lineage back to the ancient world, to royalty, and even to biblical times. They claim descent from the bloodlines of ancient kings, queens, and nobility, who were supposedly divinely chosen to rule. And as history progressed, these families allegedly intermarried to preserve their bloodline's power, becoming an unbroken chain of control over societies. Now, the first and most famous of these families is the Rothschilds. You've likely heard their name before, and for a good reason. The Rothschilds are often considered the financial aristocracy of Europe. Their wealth, which started with Mayer Amschel Rothschild in the late 18th century, grew through banking and investments. The Rothschild banking dynasty is said to have helped finance wars, controlled international currencies, and even funded governments. The family's power is said to extend across multiple continents, with branches in London, Paris, Frankfurt, Vienna, and even America. But it's not just their money that makes them a target of conspiracy theorists. It's the secretive nature of their operations. Their influence in international politics, especially during major events like the Napoleonic Wars and World War I, is thought to have been far-reaching, shaping the destiny of nations. But they're not the only family in this 13 bloodline network. Another name that comes up in discussions of global control is the Bush family. The Bush family has been deeply entrenched in American politics for decades. With two U.S. presidents, George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush, and a long-standing presence in the CIA, the family's influence on American and global policy is undeniable. The Bush family has a long history of connections with powerful corporations, financial institutions, and intelligence agencies. Some conspiracy theorists point to the family's ties to oil companies like Zapata Petroleum as evidence of their far-reaching influence in the global economy. The Bushes have been seen as a major force behind the scenes in shaping U.S. foreign policy, particularly in the Middle East, and their connections to the military-industrial complex are deeply scrutinized. Then, there's the British royal family, a powerful symbol of aristocracy that claims to have ruled for centuries. The royal family's ties to the 13 bloodlines are often linked to their supposed descent from the Merovingians, an ancient dynasty that allegedly ruled over a region now known as France. According to conspiracy theorists, the Merovingians were a powerful, secret bloodline with ties to Jesus Christ himself. The theory claims that the royal family's bloodline has been preserved over the centuries through intermarriage and their position as symbolic heads of state gives them an incredible amount of influence behind the scenes. While most of the world sees them as ceremonial figureheads, some believe their role extends far beyond that, suggesting they hold sway over global politics, especially in relation to the financial world and world leaders. But the 13 bloodlines go beyond these famous names. The Pope's family, or more specifically, the House of Farnese, plays a significant role in this web of elite power. The Farnese family, which was once one of the most powerful families in Italy, is believed to have intermarried with many royal families over the centuries. The Vatican's influence over global politics, religion, and even financial systems cannot be understated. Some conspiracy theorists argue that the Vatican is one of the central players in controlling the world's power structure, using the papacy and its vast network of influence to advance its agenda. The Carnegie family, led by Andrew Carnegie, is another key name in these discussions. Carnegie made his fortune in steel, and he became one of the richest men in the world during the late 19th century. With this wealth, he funded universities, libraries, and other institutions, creating a legacy that would last for generations. The Carnegie family's influence in shaping America's industrial landscape and its ties to powerful institutions like the Council on Foreign Relations makes them a central figure in the discussion of global control. Carnegie's philanthropy might have helped cover up the true extent of the family's influence. We can't talk about the 13 bloodlines without mentioning the DuPont family, one of the wealthiest families in America. Their fortune, built on chemicals and plastics, helped shape the 20th century's industrial landscape. But it's not just their wealth that places them among the elite families. The DuPonts have had an undeniable influence over American government policies, particularly in regard to defense contracting. Their role in the military-industrial complex is often linked to their private companies, such as DuPont de Nemours, which supplied essential materials to the US military during both world wars. But it's not just Western families that hold power. The Rockefeller family, one of the most famous and wealthy families in America, is often considered one of the 13 bloodlines. John D. Rockefeller's fortune from oil created a foundation that shaped America's industrialization and transformed global economics. The Rockefeller family has also been tied to global banking institutions, foundations, and health organizations, influencing everything from public health policy to environmental regulations. The family's long-standing ties to the Trilateral Commission and CFR indicate a deeper involvement in shaping global power dynamics. And let's not forget the Vanderbilt family. While they're often associated with railroads, the Vanderbilt family's wealth also extends to shipping and real estate, positioning them as major players in America's Industrial Revolution. Their legacy in shaping the U.S. economy through their transportation and infrastructure investments cannot be overstated. Though the family has declined in wealth over the years, their historical influence continues to be studied by conspiracy theorists who believe their power is far from gone. Now, what's crucial to understand is that these families didn't just accumulate power through money. They are also linked through secret societies, organizations, and networks that extend beyond politics and finance. The Freemasons, Bilderberg Group, and Council on Foreign Relations, CFR, are all part of the global elite's strategy to maintain control over world events. These families, through their influence in such secretive organizations, work behind closed doors to shape global agendas, steer the course of history, and secure their interests. What's even more fascinating and chilling is that many of these families have one thing in common. They allegedly trace their bloodlines to ancient times, some as far back as biblical times. The connection to these ancient lineages is a key part of the theory that these families have been destined for power. Their interconnected web of influence is said to transcend generations, with each generation passing on the torch of control to their heirs, who continue the cycle of domination. But what is their ultimate goal? Some theorists argue that the 13 Bloodlines' ultimate aim is to establish a new world order, a world where they exert complete control over everything from national governments to global economics. The New World Order is seen as a secret plan to create a centralized global government, one that these elite families will control, whether through media manipulation, financial control, or covert political maneuvering. These families are said to be working towards the goal of global governance, where they hold all the strings. So, who really controls society? Is it the politicians we see on TV? Or is it these hidden families pulling the strings from behind the scenes? The theory of the 13 Bloodlines suggests that what we see in the news, in politics, and in our economy is just a facade, a distraction from the real power that lies in the hands of a select few. And as long as they remain hidden, their control continues, unseen by most of the world. So the next time you look at a world leader, a CEO, or a celebrity, remember, they might not be the ones pulling the strings. The true power might lie in the hands of the 13 bloodlines that have been controlling our world for centuries.